Welcome to the New Earth Peace Flowering Earth Day meditation. I'm really excited to have you all here and really focus some energy on Gaia, Mother Earth, Pachamama, whatever you call her, and connect with her. I'd like to open to the white ray of purity and peace, and just allow ourselves to really move into that state of peace, and then open our presence, open the invitation to be present with her, to see, is there something she needs? Is there some way we can honor her more? I do want to share, Andrea sent this picture. I'm just going to share for a moment. That was like, oh my God, that's exactly it, right? Flowering peace.
Gorgeous.
Yeah. So we can kind of keep this up too when we're journeying. But just before we go into our journey, I just want to bring forward something that came through about, it was from Grandmother Montu. And I know like Andrea and, oh, here comes Joanna too. A number of you have been doing the Grandmother Lodge with me, working with Montu, the timeless one. And she gifted us an etheric pendulum, and she told me that it was to clear curse energy. And it was so interesting. Can I share a little bit of the story you shared, Grandmother Sandy, about that?
Sure.
Sure. We did some work with that energy, and it feels like it wants to come in again. And basically, it's just that Montu, the grandmother, that we'll call her in, and if there's, she has, we can bring the energy of her pendulum into our own pendulum and then clear whatever curses are needed. Like we're going to do some curse clearing. And I know this is a really deep shamanic process at times, but if we can do it in the way that it needs to be done today, then that's the way I want to hold the space. But just for a moment, hi Sylvia and Joanna, welcome. And Susan, we have joining us. Just to talk a little bit about, like, curse has kind of a really weird, connotation to it, of course. But if we just think of, okay, Sandy shared this example that when we were doing this work in the Grandmother Lodge, she remembered an incident from like 35 years ago of this man with road rage, yelling and flipping the bird and, really sending horrible energy her way, which of course we probably all have had that experience. And realizing that that was a curse. Like people are doing that all the time. And so anytime someone is sending out a thought, an intention, a judgment, anything that is not, that is to harm someone or make them feel bad or, in any way, and that is what I would call a curse. And it's been thrown around so much, those thought forms, and even just amongst people we know. I think it's really important to be mindful of what we think about, how we think about people, how we talk about them. Are we judging them? So some of it is just a reminder for us, but I just feel like Gaia was asking for the grandmothers to come in and to be available to help her release some of that thick and heavy and dense energy and kind of lighten it up. So that's kind of what I was seeing with that. I felt like, oh, that's kind of heavy for what I was expecting. But then if that's what she needs, we're willing, right? And if something else, obviously, all of you worked with me before. If there's other things coming forward that you're guided to, please do that. But I'll kind of guide us in and get it started, and just we can go from there. And then feel free, as I say, if you want to put any comments in, if something's coming in that you want to share with the group, or I may give time for people to share too. Awesome. Oh, let me just get Susan in here again. Welcome. All right. So anything else before we move into our beautiful flowering meditation? All right. I think I'm going to mute everyone and then we'll begin. Okay. Start with some chimes. Happy Earth Day. I'd like us to go inside our hearts and really connect first with our own divine self. And also connect into Gaia, into Mother Earth, Pachamama, whatever way we connect with her spirit. And just open to the love you have for her, the gratitude. And just imagine with that love and gratitude, you are sending your roots down into her crystalline grid, her body, all the way to her center. Crystalline core, fiery core, whatever you see. And just let your breath kind of bring the energy back and forth between Gaia and yourself. That nourishing energy, that love energy. You may see colors. We're going to invite in your personal guides, my personal guides. If you'd like to invite a special guide for this journey, feel free. One of the elementals, a fairy queen, your animal totem that you work with. Just feel that peace as you connect into the crystalline grid of Mother Earth. Just let your nervous system relax into her, moving into her new Earth grid, which is all that beautiful, loving, magic, high octave, crystalline, fluid, golden, conscious energy. So you can start like bringing that energy, allowing that energy to move back up in your body as well. So you can feel that you are tapped into that grid. However you see or experience that is beautiful. You can invite those nature spirits, the elementals, the fairies, the flowers, the fairy queen, the dragons, Bigfoot, the mountains that are near you. We'll honor the indigenous tribes that have cared for the lands and the different places we are. Honor the trees, the ancient ones, the younger ones. Calling the devas. And then opening to source above, to the sun, the great central sun, the cosmic sun. We're going to connect to the crystalline grid above, to the galactic core. And then allow that beautiful source energy to shine down upon you, to bring you any energies, any light codes, any colors. And just let yourself open and receive You're welcome to put your palms up if you would like to receive more. Really in celebration of this beautiful earth that feeds us, that honors us, that nourishes us, that creates home. Feeling that sense of home. And we're going to invite the white ray of purity and peace to wash through our circle, connect our hearts together as one. We'll make this beautiful container, this sacred space, a container of love, of high consciousness, and this white ray. And with this ray, I like to invite and see, and you can just open to who you see come through this ray, or just to the experience of this pure, innocent, loving energy. It's very feminine, high frequency. It brings the unicorn energies. It brings white buffalo calf woman. Brings the white lilies. Brings the fairy queen. Brings the pine. Brings some of the white animals. Just allow yourself to receive and open to this ray. And let that ray fill you, wash through you, fill your auric field, your Merkaba up with that very high sense of love. And let that white consciousness ground and be anchored into Gaia. So kind of sharing this white ray down through your feet and into her grid as well. So we're anchoring some of the white ray for Gaia and blending in with what she has to offer each one of us. So you can even get a sense of kind of wash energy down into the earth, grounding that ray, and then receiving back all that earth energy, all that consciousness. Beautiful. I can feel a lot of fairies around us. I can hear them. So just invite yourself to welcome, any of the fairies, the gnomes, the magical ones. The white ray also creates a very sacred space, so we can even bring in other beings that we like to work with to feel like we're safe to do that. So just open, you might see like special flowers showing up, special trees, places. And just let your whole crystalline body kind of vibrate and infuse yourself with that light, that innocence, that purity. And we can even ask that this white ray and these fairy beings and our guides, if there's any places in our body that we've had some discomfort or pain or trauma or just needs more love and support, we can invite that white ray to move to those cells, those places in the body, those quantum fields, and even into our DNA. Inviting that in. And the white color, I always think of that white ray as like really a rainbow of primary and pastel colors. Like it holds all the colors. So as you connect it into your DNA, like I'm seeing a lot of rainbows come through. So you can open to the rainbow spirals of DNA moving through your own body. Feels so sparkly and lovely. And so now that we're in this beautiful space, we're in a space of oneness with each other, but also we can act in whatever way we're led. We're going to open to connecting with Gaia in the place that each one of us is in, connecting with the spirits, the nature spirits, beings around your home. And then if you feel that you want to go a little bigger, moving further up from the earth or down into the earth, whichever direction you feel, but looking more at the wholeness of Gaia, like seeing her inner wholeness in that perspective. Now we are going to invite the white ray of purity and peace, and also these different beings like the white buffalo calf woman and the white animals and the unicorns and the pine and the lilies, like to bring that medicine, that purity, that innocence, that sweetness, kind of like making a blank slate in some places to really help resolution of what's old and what's ending and what wants to complete, kind of bringing a place of open white space. And so asking Gaia, be present, we'll all be present with her, and what is the way that you are called to support her? Is it to anchor the white ray through your body in a certain location besides where you are? Is it to see the white ray in that bigger realm coming down and covering her, filling her up? I just invite you to open. And fill her up. Many places on her that wish to be purified, be cleansed or cleared. And I'm gonna ask the 13 grandmothers to join us. Want to just ask for if there's any of this curse energy that wishes to be cleared, to do that with my pendulum. You're welcome to join me or do whatever you feel is your place. Can feel a lot of unicorns helping with that. Almost see their alicorn digging into locations to help kind of free up some of that mental energy, congestion, those negative thought forms. And just whatever we can do on this Earth Day. Also seeing a lot of pink coming in, pink ray of divine love. So you can imagine a lot of pink flowers as well, swirling around the earth to hold it in that space of healing. And so just sending our light into the planet, appreciation, our love. I'm also seeing the white mother dragon coming in. And feel free to move around on the planet if there's other places that you feel called. And this white ray is really bringing the frequency and the vibration of Gaia up. It's helping clear away, seeing these colors, these rays, this energy. And flowers. And also seeing yourself as a flower or a flower bouquet or a fairy or a crystal, sacred garden, like seeing all the ways that you shine with your own light, with your own radiance, that wherever you are, that radiance is shining out and affecting the energy around you, that you are transforming it just through your presence. And also I'm seeing a lot of us sending like light codes through our hands, and also some of that light language, even if we don't know it consciously, directing that energy to certain places. Imagine your hand directing that, or even where you are, anchoring it. And I can see some of us are very fairy-like, kind of floating around, flying around the sky and the upper atmosphere. And then others kind of more grounded in the earth. Yeah, and just really opening to that lightness of being, that sense of you as a light being, as a fairy, as a Bigfoot, as an elemental, whatever you resonate with, grandmother, goddess. And I'm seeing everyone in different areas, but now I'm kind of seeing that we're sort of coming back into, it's like a circle, but more like a pentagon or octagon or whatever. What are there, 2, 4, 6? that kind of shape, like sacred geometry shape, where we're connecting with each other and holding like a template that is larger than what we can carry ourselves. So anchoring that together. Imagine the love energy shooting between each of us. There's a lot of rainbows going between each one of us, connecting our hearts together, our energy bodies. And just let that be. Feels like it's connecting up to with light workers around the world. And to know as each one of us blooms, as each one of us holds that light, we create that powerful point of light. And then when we connect with each other, we're connecting with another point of light, with another soul that's awakened, or another group of souls that are praying. And so imagining that kind of network all around Gaia, where each one of us is that, we're connecting with all of the others and kind of blooming and flowering, radiating out to a point where there is no space between any of us anymore. Starts as a grid and the points of connection. And then as more and more light comes in, it just fills the whole planet with pure light. And celebrating that joy, that love. Having some fun. And then if there's, I'll give you a little time, if there's any more connecting or work you're called to do, give you a little space for that. Also seeing the mountaintops as being points of light that connect all over the planet as well. Part of that grid of light. But seeing yourself as a mountain. Yeah, and even imagining like mandalas, I feel like what we were creating together, it's almost looked like a big mandala with flowers and colors and energies. And then as you start coming back in your body, you'll come back into the circle. Some of you have wings and have been flying, so you can start settling back down on the earth. Some of you have been more in the earth or on the earth. But we'll just ask to open up to the, oh, and there was, I do want to do this before we open it up again. There was a couple essences, whoops, I forgot to put out, but one is fireweed that's coming quite a bit. So I want to bring this, so this is a perfect time to do it actually, because it's all about resurrection. And it's a beautiful purple flower that grows out of the clear cut and of places that have been burned. It's one of the first ones to come back. And so to me, it's all about resurrection. And so we'll give this to Gaia and to each one of us. I know we're all going through a lot of completions and resolutions. So just letting yourself receive. Receive the fireweed frequencies. And also if you've been feeling any burnout, exhaustion, like just invite that energy in. Plantain also wants to come in. Bring some flower medicines. And then we did calm the white lily, but I'll give a little more of the essence here. And I'm just putting these in a bowl of water, and that way everyone can receive that frequency. So just imagine that's, you know, coming in through your head, your heart, your palms. And that's nice because the fireweed's helping us ground back into our bodies again. And also take that space. I always feel the white rays being like really creating an opening for creative space, for pure space, for empty space, for light space where we can create and birth what is new. And so from that place of innocence and purity, without other people's judgments, with the permission of enjoying our inner child with that, bringing that light, that higher octave in. So I'd love to open it up if anyone wants to, either you can type something or open up the mute and share what you saw, what you want to bring forward for the group or for yourself. I feel much, I don't know how you feel too. I feel like much lighter and like uplifted, and like that innocent, sweet energy feels like it's really come in. It feels really lovely. Sometimes it's very simple, you know, to make that shift. I'm finding that white ray and all these white beings are really supportive of us. Yeah.
You're muted, Sandy. We can't hear you. Camilla, maybe you have to unmute people because she's, well, I don't know. I'm unmuted.
Unmute.
There she is.
Okay. technical things. It was beautiful. Lots of visions, a lot of energy, a lot of white, animals and fairies and a unicorn. But I was called to many places around the globe. Started off at our nation's capital and just sending a lot of energy to bring balance, bring acceptance, cooperation. Then I was over in the Sudan, and then there's some islands off of Panama that are losing their land due to ocean rise. And I was sending energy for them and the new complex that's being built for them, which is so regimented and square and confining and not anything like what they're used to. But it just kept going from one place to the other. So I kind of felt like wherever I needed to go, I would be going. And then I saw this huge Merkaba, and it was within a gyroscope. So it's doing, spinning this way and this way. And it was so, I've got goosebumps. So wonderful. It was powerful, but gentle.
Mhm.
But it felt like, what a fantastic tool. I'd never thought of a gyroscope before. So thank you.
Yeah.
It was quite an experience.
Yeah. Of course. Anyone else? Thank you, Grandmother Sandy.
You're welcome.
Oh, I can jump in. My name is Jan. The Mushroom King showed up really quickly, and we went into the ground, and he's very funny. He's got this kind of very sharp-witted, funny sense of humor, but it was like, oh, I'm connecting the light grid, the light ray in with the fungal network, which is a grid.
Wow.
And it's like, oh, it takes a human who can have his feet on the ground and that we can connect the above and below. And then I was, I was also in Sudan, and it was interesting, these places where there's been a lot of turmoil. I was in Uganda, and just like where you've had mass atrocities, you can have a lot of almost like witchcraft, like black, like curses, like in those areas, because you get these beings that are so entrenched in suffering that. So what happened in Uganda is that they basically put the death penalty for anybody who's gay. Now has the death penalty, and it's really kind of seeping out to other African nations. So, but I was like, what, so when you said curses, I immediately go into like, okay, where did this originate from? And how do we unravel it? And I was like, no, it's too much.
Yeah.
But there's been so many places where there's been atrocities, and that is a breeding ground for just
Hate. Yeah.
Hate. Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting hearing that, because I was also seeing, like, I think I mentioned it, but like the unicorns are en masse, and they were like pointing their alicorns and like digging into the dirt to kind of get deeper into where, I guess I realized it was probably like the curse energy, right? They're trying to like move it out, like lift it out. And I think those places like you're talking about, they, back in the day, I was doing a little research about curses. I know it's a whole big, deeper thing, but we were asked to do some level of it with the support, right? But back in the day, all our ancestors, that was a big part of how they operated. That was the spells and the curses. They were doing that to each other all the time. So some of that lineage, is held in the land. It's held in our bodies sometimes. And so, yeah, it's pretty deep in some ways. So even though it sounds kind of, if you're not familiar with this kind of work, it sounds really like, what, I'm just thinking of it as, sending people harmful thoughts, wanting harm for them, those kind of things, family, territorial things, warring neighbors, all that kind of stuff. So it's good to, in what way we could do that today. Yeah. You wanted to speak, Susan?
Yeah, I'll just say at one point towards the middle or the end, I visually saw the earth, and she was golden light, and on either side of the earth were two other planets. And the gist I get from the other planets is that they were supportive and just almost beaming light to the earth. And so giving the feeling or the impression that we're not alone. And I know that there is so much galactic support at this point, but that's a visual that came through of, it was like 3 planets lined up and we were in the middle. And there was so much light. It was like golden light coming from the other planets as well. So there's so much support at this time for what's going on here and how that echoes out.
Wonderful. I love that you saw it as planets too. I mean, right? Yeah.
And unicorns, yeah.
Oh, right.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. Thank you. Anyone else want to share? Andrea? Oh, are you trying to unmute?
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I think I just
Okay.
have to ask or something.
Yes,
Great.
such a beautiful meditation. I saw so many, first all the white ray beings and a fairy queen procession, and she had really long hair and really long robes, and all the fairies were holding it, and it was like they were sharing their state of consciousness with us, they were saying, because it's like we keep trying to fight the adversity, but their message was, if you be with us, we rise from within into that higher state of consciousness. And then I kept seeing white braids and white unicorns, and then I felt like I was shape-shifting into the fairy queen, and my hair felt really long, and then elves came in, and I felt like I grew elven ears, and it was like they were all just coming and saying hi, and then they were like, get the fairy crystal ball, and I realized I have this fairy crystal ball up on the shelf, and I was like, it's like something special with the white ray.
Oh,
So
yeah.
I wrote that down, and there's a little fairy in it, and the moon's in it, and then the rainbow fairies came in and all their kingdoms, and they were just like, we're activating in you, our souls connecting to you anywhere you are. It's part of light worker. As a rainbow fairy activator, like we are calling the nature spirits back, like bridging the dimensions. I got a lot of information about the wounded healer, and when you were talking about the plant spirits, bleeding heart really came in. And it was a deep level of like facing your own pain, but having the courage to like heal it and birth the healing and like the art of that. And it was such a great teacher, and that's exactly mirrored on the earth right now with the earth and us. like we're all one, right? We heal ourselves, the earth heals. So yeah, beautiful. And then I kept hearing the breath of the earth, and that like earth, like she's breathing and watching, like the ground has eyes and breathing. And so it's like knowing everything and connecting with that relationship, you know, having that open relationship.
Yeah.
Earth.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks for sharing. I love that. Like, yeah, I really feel that too, what you said about them bringing us up to their consciousness. I feel like whenever I work with the fairy queens and the fairies or the white ray, these realizing, yeah, they were all kind of similar energy, and I didn't even really associate with the white ray. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh my gosh, like everything like integrated and connected and unified, that all these different energies I would experience that seemed similar were all from that place. And so tuning into any of them or all of them or that ray, like really does feel like it's just bringing us into that consciousness very quickly. And so I think too, when we're going through difficult times, like we all do, it's nice to have a way to lift ourselves to feel better and more light. Yeah.
I want to share my fairy queen drawing too that I sketched during the day.
Awesome.
I feel like she was kind of, I mean, I feel like when I draw, it helps me connect with it.
Yeah. Great. Awesome. Anyone else? Sylvia or Joanna? You don't have to share, but if you like. Got Luna there.
Yeah, Luna wants to say hi, of course. She's like looking away. Yeah, I was in like a lot of releasing and cord cutting. And there was like a lot of planetary grief that was coming up, and finding antidotes for that grief in all these spaces. And definitely when you said that alicorn poking into the land, it made me think of like, you know, grid work, putting in these spaces that are coming in harm right now. And also like the mother came up a lot because it's like Mother Earth Day, but also how she holds us and cares for us. Yeah, lifting up the self to feel better and light is what I wrote down. But yeah, the antidotes of the white light, working with the mother and kind of seeing what she wants. Listening and remembering is still a strong theme this week from our Patreon on Tuesday. Yeah, I think that's about it.
Awesome. Thank you.
I definitely experienced that sense of grief pretty strongly, but in a very detached way. I mean, it wasn't like I was experiencing grief, but I was aware of tremendous grief. And what came in for me was big leaf maple. And actually all of the plants that are blooming here in this place, I was pretty much focused here with my energy. So all of the flowers now, Oregon grape is blooming, and Indian plum is still blooming, and red flowering currant is blooming, and serviceberry is coming in soon. And so those native plants of this place were speaking to me and reminding me that they have these messages in medicine. And then I was at the top of Haleakala, and I was looking at the Big Island at the lava flow coming down, which is visible from Haleakala. I don't really have any idea what that was about, but fire, you know, the power of fire for transformation and rebirth, the birthing of that island creates more of itself, is what I imagine. But, you know, there wasn't really a message with that, just that I got to be up there, and it was dark. I was there in the very dark, so that the line of the lava flow was really visible as a pathway, you know, the lighted display to exit from the emergency on the airplane. Follow the lighted display.
Yeah. New Earth. Beautiful. Well, I didn't put this up, but I just want to put it up for a moment because it's such a great visual to kind of complete our time. And look at these flowers that we are helping to nourish and feed and honor, and maybe to see yourself as one as well. So we'll just give our final joy and love and celebration for this day, but that it may continue on with, you know, where we stand, where we go, what we intend for our lives and for the earth, and help bring that renewal, restoration, love back to our beautiful planet, the lands and the waters.
And there's Jay hiding there in the
Oh,
background. Jan.
It's
I would
true.
like to hear from Jay.
Jay, would you share?
Thank you. Well, it was pretty
Sorry
similar.
about that. You were looking so relaxed back there.
Yeah, it was relaxing.
Love to
It
hear
was
from you.
what everybody's shared, and my work was a lot similar to Jan. Mushroom was definitely part of it, and there was one point where you were talking about a feminine coming through a light, through a shield of light or something. But Bear came through, which is my power animal, and Bear said, "No, you need to work with Bear right now because some action needs to be taken."
Oh.
And then there was another point you were talking about meeting an entity, and I met mushrooms came up, but I met the little people that Maria Sabina talks about, and I went, "Oh, okay, you are familiar, but you are different than the mushrooms that I've met before." And then the white light that you were talking about all of a sudden became the mycelium. And I thought, well, that's really what's connecting. And I was thinking about, well, what it will be like to die and to want to become part of the mycelium and to go back into the earth. And I was also thinking about the counterpoint of Christianity, where you leave and you go to heaven and you leave this earth. And I'm thinking, no, I don't want to leave the earth. I want to go back into it because that's where I'm from. My spirit, my soul will leave it. And that will connect to that white light that flows through all of us. So I'm thinking right now that the mycelium and the white light are really interconnected. The white light is a source that flows through all of us and kind of is the essence that supports all life. And I'm actually connecting upper and lower and middle earth with all of that, with the whiteness that's flowing through everything.
Yeah, beautiful. Thank you for sharing. Back when I would hear those words like the white light of the God source, I always would get like excited about that. And I feel like this white ray is kind of that, right? Like everything, like you say, is of the white light. It contains all the colors as well. And so, but it's, yeah, lovely to focus on it.
But I'm also reminded that we really need to get into the darkness to be able to work with the white light.
Yeah.
We've been, as culturally, we've been suppressing our traumas and not identifying, not talking about them because we labeled it as so binary, it's so horrible, nobody wants to talk about it.
Right.
So we avoid it. And
yeah. I love seeing too, like for women, seeing the womb as the velvety blackness and the void. And so it's like, oh, that's an invitation to work with that black. Yeah. That shadow it as well, what is not seen. And also at the night, like Sylvia being at night, watching the lava. So anything else bubbling up for anyone?
Yeah, I mean, that was a big part about how important the darkness is and how difficult and limiting words are, because light and dark are, just the whole whiteness, we're all white here, and the whiteness that always just gets me really uncomfortable. And so I love the dark. And so I was very glad to be seeing the light in the dark and to be in that space.
Yeah. Yeah. I kind of was looking at that too, at that white ray, like would that feel that way? Like white people, white ray, But to me, it's like the White Brotherhood is another group, and it's like men and white men, you know. So I think, like you say, those words really we have to, work through, because to me that white really is all the colors, and it's not about skin at all. Yeah. All right. Well, thank you so much, everyone. I'd just like to close up our sacred circle and thank Gaia, thank her spirit, thank all the beautiful beings that were here with us today. Continue the work, but we're going to close the circle and release everyone to their perfect place, and also close the container, Phoenix it, and send that back to spirit. So thank you again. And
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
you're welcome. And I know most of you know this, but if anyone wants to do more, I do have my Patreon group where we do these kind of meditations together. A number of you are in it already. And my Grandmother Lodge, which a number of you are doing as well. And then I've got some flower events coming up, both in person and an online course. And the Fairy Congress is coming up too in July. So we've got lots of great things to look forward to. So thank you all so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey,
Great.
Spirit Day.
buddy.
Spirit Day.
Oh, very sweet.